The next scene introduces Ziggy. Uh, they're still in the same apartment. Very little time has passed between the two scenes. And then it leads into the opera version with the Yardbird song, Heaven Knows.
Yeah, and so this is a great song, and the Yardbirds had so many good songs that people there's about 5 or 6 Yardbird songs you'll hear on album-oriented rock stations, like but this was a good song, and my favorite line is there where you have Ziggy singing the main line, Danny and Georgie are singing the backup, and there's in the second line he goes, Ziggy says of Avron, and Avron turns out to be a possible cult leader who's trying to rescue Derek types from addiction. And so Ziggy sings, he loves the flowers, and Danny and Georgie, stupid flower power, which I chose that song specifically for that one line because it negates the whole Jenny Eccles kind of thing. That here we're in real life. People are going to get killed. People have been killed. People are coming after people to kill them. Let's not have this peace and love shit. This is the real world. And so they sing that song in the alternate version. We get Poetry Itself, my great poem about art, and this is where Danny is sort of
channeling the future.
Yeah, sort of channeling the future because Danny is and you could imagine since we're going to a cult leader, it's almost premonitive in that Danny is, maybe you could imagine him like just having these lines from his future poem come out as he's sort of shaking and whatnot, and they're like, what the fuck is happening to Danny?
I think that's a good scene. I still would prefer the Persephone in fall usage of the poem.
Yeah. I mean that because it ends right there on the boom with the last line, so it's a much more dramatic and punctuated end. But then that brings up the next scene where we get Avron, and I think Avron, even though he comes in very late, is an interesting character. And this is a character that I probably will also carry over into the Grand and the Glorious. And I forget what his last name is here, but we get an extended scene that is a callback to one of my Newtown stories. If you've read Newtown,
yes,
yeah, long ago, but you remember there's a story where a character goes in and he's with a bunch of snake handlers, religious snake handlers, and so we get this sense that Avron is, he's like, Avron, I am here to tell you, parishioners, sing it. Avron, oh, I can. Parishioners, sing it. Avron, oh, I will. Parishioners, sing it. But he's not religious, but he's clearly got these people worked up into a fervor, and Danny and Ziggy are watching this, and they're getting sort of weirded out, but they know that apparently since Avron has been saving drug addicts, getting them off of drugs and getting them into his cult, he has ways of getting people out of the city. So this is why Danny and Ziggy are here to see this guy, because they figure he can at least get Betty and Billy out of town while Teddy's boys are after him. And so Avron starts singing Amazing Grace, and then we get some pretty good interactions between Avron and the boys, and then the rock.
Amazing Grace played while he's trying to save people.
Yeah, and then we get the second use of Rocky Erickson, Two-Headed Dog, as Danny and Avron is going to get his purple Cadillac to go there, and then we get a wino that comes out and starts singing this diluted song, Two-Headed Dog, by Rocky Erickson, and then it's dropped in the alternate version. Here the wino comes out, is about to sing, and then just falls on his face drunk, and so. That's really there. A lot of them that there really wasn't any alternate song, so you have this build up, and so you go for the comic effect there, and so that now we're up at scene 30, alternate scene 22. So in the last 2 or 3 scenes here, and then Danny, Ziggy, and Avron have gotten back to the apartment, and apparently it's been ramshackled. It looks like Betty and Billy have been killed, and Georgie's missing, so they don't know what the hell happened to Georgie.
Yeah, it uses a song that I've seen in many films Chris Isaac's "Baby Did a Bad Thing."
Yeah.
Baby did a bad thing, and it really works within this play to establish. The thing is too is you get the ambiguity of what the song is really about and who it's based on.
Yeah, and it it's really it's sort of self-evident why I use that song. Basically, we have, and then the other, I use Necrophilia, my angry young man poem, as the alternate. And basically, this scene is basically the end of the main dark theme. We get, we find out that Georgie avoided being killed because he went off while Billy and Betty were fucking or something. He went off to get some candy, and so that's why Georgie survives.
Yeah, Necrophilia. I think you used a different version than you have in your selected too. I think you may have cut out a few. No, that's Pieces of Dark.
Yeah.
That's sometimes your poems are just like your plays, and I mix them up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was a good use of the poem too. Then we get scene 31 and 32, sort of are like codas to the rest of the action in the play.
Yeah, and then Jenny gets one of her things here. Jenny and Danny sing the interjection song from Schoolhouse Rock. So this is again related to like the Zoom song and some of the more childlike things, because Danny is still a song. So this is probably my favorite Jenny and Danny song, because Danny is still clearly enamored of Jenny. Jenny sings most of the lead of the song, and then we do get, by the end of the song, when the song ends with the Danny character saying, "Darn, that's the end," that's going to come up later again, which goes back, as you were saying, this is like Norwegian in the Family. There's two endings. There's the ending of the novel, and then there's the ending of the book. And here we get "Dawn, that's the end," to end this scene, which is, in a sense, the end of, well, it pre-monitors the ending, and the ironic use of that same language at the end of the actual play a little bit later on.
Well, you did change one word, "damn," that's the end, in reality.
Right, at the end, and I use that with "Pass the Steak." We'll talk about that when that comes up at the end for that. But then in the alternate version, instead of the interjections, this is where I take a dozen or so little jump roping scenes. And I thought, I want to go, as the play ends, I wanted to get back to the fact that we are in a city, we're in a specific time and place, and and one of the most in New York things to do is double Dutch jump roping, where you have at least one or two people that are jumping in and out as you get two people twirling double ends of the rope and singing these little things like, "As I went down to my grandpa's farm, a billy goat chased me around the barn," and all of this kind of stuff. And it ends with Danny and Jenny again singing, and Danny singing, "Will you marry me?" and Jenny singing, "Yes, no, maybe so," sort of teasing him on. And then at the end, Danny trips and falls, and that's the end of the scene, basically. And he says, "Damn, that's the end."
Then we get the scene 32, which sort of, it's sort of like a classical musical ending, where you get all the characters interacting with each other again, and you have in some ways, canned laughter. And then you get this interaction where Pastor Steege goes on a long rant and just saying the word "it" over and again.
Well, that's in the reprise. We have Jenny and Jenny, Candy, and Betty basically perform as the Supremes, and Jenny is cast as Diana Ross singing reflections of the way life used to be. Then we get the alternate version where grown Danny basically throws water on everything again, and then that segues to the reprise, which ends it. And then this reprise,
that's where you get the ending of "Darn, that's the end."
Yeah, but the reprise here I used, and I needed to, because we've gotten the resolution. In the real world of violence, everyone basically dies. Derek dies. Candy and Betty die. The war hero dies. Teddy Limbo dies.
That reminds me of a kid's book.
Yeah, and so everyone dies.